Hello. Great. I think that the majority of people have joined. I think we're going to be getting a few people still, and I am a co-host, so you might hear a bit of pinging. So apologies for that. So we're just going to kick off. I think that would be great. So very exciting. This is a very exciting moment for us. My name is Lisa McNamara, and I'm a program manager at South South North. And South South North is an NGO based in Cape Town, South Africa. And I'd like to just, on behalf of the team and everybody here, just thank you very, very much for joining us here today and for taking this opportunity to participate in a very global online Wikipedia editathon on climate change. We've had over 200 signups from all parts of the world. So it's extremely exciting to be having and welcoming such a diverse group of people for a week editing on climate change topics. So can I ask that we opted to have a Zoom session as opposed to a webinar because we wanted to see people, we wanted to engage. We don't want sort of like more of a broadcast approach. So, but bearing in mind that we are quite a big crowd, we just have to make sure that we please mute our microphones. And I think we can have video for a bit in the beginning, but we might need to switch video off at some parts as well. So, and Emma Baker, who you'll see at the top there, she can sort of wave, is going to be facilitating most of this. So you know who she is. So one thing just to set the scene is that one thing that 2020 has shown us in a very stark reality, more stark than we would like, is that we have really arrived at our new future. We have multiple intersecting crises that are unfolding globally, but with the deepest consequences at the local levels in the poorest communities in the global south. And climate change is one such crisis, and one that has been less obvious and immediate, and it's growing in its palpable effects, but that threatens our very existence. And at the same time, we have created this incredible global information infrastructure to communicate and learn together, the internet, which holds the potential to be one tool. And of course, we need many tools to help us respond to these crises of our times. And yet we have another creeping and insidious threat that's arising, and that is the age of disinformation, fake news, the misuse of personal data for political and corporate agendas. And in all of this is some good news. Yes, there is some good news, is that we have a tool like Wikipedia, where the mission is to provide universal access to knowledge as a public good. It is a global collaborative information platform, the largest encyclopedia, one of the most visited websites in the world, that is funded by charitable donation and managed by a nonprofit, the Wikimedia Foundation, based in California. And Wikipedia, I just want to stress, is ours. It's not something out there in the ether that other people do. It is ours, and it is reliant on our contributions. And we believe that it is our collective responsibility as climate change specialists, activists, organizers, researchers, to ensure that climate-related information on Wikipedia is reliable, up to date, and it also reflects how diverse countries and communities around the world are being affected by and responding to the climate crisis. Now, one significant challenge that Wikipedia faces, which is well recognized by the Wikimedia Foundation, and which they're very focused on addressing, is bias, both in terms of who is contributing and what information is contributed. So we know that roughly about 20% of contributors are from the global south. And in a 2018 survey covering 12 language versions of Wikipedia, only 8.8% of contributors reported their gender as female. And since the Global South is so deeply impacted by climate change and the important role that women play in climate action, this is a bias that we have to address, which is why we are here today. So South South North is a non-profit based in Cape Town, South Africa. And I think I'm just wondering if someone could not make me a co-host so I don't have all the pinging. Must be a bit distracting. I don't know, Shev, if you want to just unping me, unco-host me. And we support national and regional responses to climate change, and we work in multiple regions in the South. And we run 2 programs, CDKN, which is a global program with alliance partners in different regions, and the Knowledge Exchange and Capacity Building Unit of FCFA, and which is Future Climate for Africa, a research program that has been running for many years, focused on producing the best science, climate science on the African continent. And for 2 years now, the CDK and FCFA programs have been on this journey to discover Wikipedia. And as knowledge and communication specialists, there's a group of us who work in the knowledge and communication space, we've become incredibly passionate about Wikipedia. The more you discover about it, the more you just get hooked. And it really has this potential in the climate movement to enhance public understanding, increase citizen engagement on climate change, and really make climate knowledge more widely accessible. So we ran a face-to-face Africa Climate Change Editathon in August 2019, and we're very happy that some participants from that Editathon will also be joining us this week. And we launched a guide to Wikipedia for climate researchers and practitioners, and there should be a link that will be shared in the chat shortly for that guide. We also ran a webinar a couple of weeks ago as an introduction to Wikipedia, and we're not going to be covering a lot of the content again. So if you do want to get a sort of overall sense of how Wikipedia works, please do go to that webinar and listen. We can also share the link to that webinar in the chat as well. We will also be sharing, you can see we've been busy, a link to a video on the Africa Climate Change Editathon in case you haven't attended an Editathon before and you really want to get a taste of what it's all about. But just bear in mind, this was a face-to-face Editathon and we are doing things a bit differently now. And we also just wanted to say that we're extremely grateful for the Wikimedia Foundation, and in particular, Alex Stinson, Rudolf Umpofo, and Wikimedia South Africa, Douglas Scott, for their continual guidance on this journey. We're also really grateful for the Wikipedia volunteers and mentors who will be taking us and helping us in this week. Elizabeth, Phoebe, Euphemia, and Joy, and they'll be introduced a bit later by Emma, and you'll get to see their faces, and a number of others who are really going to help us over the next week. And we're incredibly grateful because they're giving of their time, it's voluntary, and we really appreciate the support. So also thank you to the Wiki Project Climate Change, which is an organized group on Wikipedia that looks at the climate change articles. And they've really helped us to map the articles to edit. And they've got lots of very valuable guidance notes on how to get started editing Wikipedia climate change articles online. And we can also insert a link to this Wikipedia group in the chat as well. So again, also thank you to the SSN events team for helping us to run these sessions over the next week, and also to the FCFA and CDKN team for their constant hard work really to make this happen. It's been quite a journey, and also to our funders, our CDK and FCFA funders, who really have made this work possible. They've been very supportive of us doing this, taking a leap into the Wikipedia world. The Royal Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Canada's International Development Centre, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, and the UK Natural Environment Research Council. So there are quite a few of them. And I just want to end off and say, I really wish you very well over the next week. We are also going to be learning. This is also new for us. We haven't run an online editathon before. So we really do welcome your feedback and advice. please do get in touch. The main organizing team you will meet today, so you'll know who we are, and we will be on Slack. I hope everyone has joined Slack. I know there are lots of different platforms and we've been sending lots of information to you and it's a bit overwhelming, but hopefully we're going to demystify everything. And we've also provided an email address, if that works better for you to get in touch with us, which is wiki@southsouthnorth.org, which we can also share in the chat. And yeah, just finally, happy editing. I hope you really enjoy this week, and I'm very excited to get stuck in. And I will hand over to Emma, my colleague, who's going to be facilitating the next session.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Yeah, and welcome everyone from my side. As Lisa said, my name's Emma, and yeah, I'm part of the organizing team for Wiki4Climate. And we're all very excited to see how this week goes. So yeah, without further ado, some quick housekeeping. So firstly, please note this session is being recorded. We are currently live on YouTube. It's just so it will be available immediately afterwards for anyone who missed it or anyone who wants to watch it back. And it will also be public on the CDKN and FCFA websites later today. As Lisa mentioned, this is a Zoom meeting and not a webinar, so we all have the same functionality. So please just make sure you're on mute when you're not talking, so we don't get any background noise. For the best experience, try to avoid multitasking. I know it's hard, but you can close all non-essential applications and messaging apps that ping you. And so for this session, we actually decided not to use the chat box for questions because we thought it would get quite overwhelming. So we've set up a Google Doc and the link should be coming in the chat box now. And we're going to be using this for questions throughout the session. So the idea is you can just post questions at any time on there, put your name, your question. And because, as Lisa mentioned, we have quite a lot of, we're lucky to have a lot of support from the Wikipedia community here. So anyone here can then answer the questions directly on the Google Doc. Otherwise, we will, or in addition, we will actually take them verbally during the Q&A sessions. And then this Google Doc is going to be in the Google Drive folder that you should have received a link to, the starter pack. So you can also go back and refer to it after the session. And yeah, finally, for any technical issues or further questions, please send a direct message to South South North in the chat box or email wiki@southsouthnorth, and we'll do our best to assist you. So the agenda for today. After the welcome and introductions, Lisa is going to take us through the overview and plan for the week and everything you need to know to get started. We have sent you a lot of information already, but yeah, hopefully we'll all be on the same page after this session. Then we're going to hear from Joy Ajapong, who has been editing climate change articles on Wikipedia for about 4 years now, and she's going to share her experience with us. And then we're going to have a presentation from experienced Wikipedia editors Phoebe and Elizabeth, also on the organizing team. And they're going to take us through some editing basics, how Wikipedia works, everything you need to know at this point in time for new editors. And then we are actually going to keep this Zoom room open for 30 minutes after the session closes officially for any further questions that haven't been addressed. Just so that you have the opportunity to ask them and to be answered. So, just to remind you why we're all here and what we want to get out of this week. So Wiki4Climate aims to mobilize a community of climate change professionals, communicators, organizers, and existing Wikipedia volunteers to edit and update climate change articles on Wikipedia. So why are we doing this? We want to enhance climate change content on Wikipedia, particularly related to the Global South. We want to increase awareness of the value of contributing to the platform. We want to grow the confidence and skills of new editors and first-time editors. And we want to build a community of climate change editors, particularly women and editors from the Global South, but also everyone. Everyone's welcome. So, to get a sense of who's here. I mean, we had nearly 250 people. Actually, we might have already reached 250 people. Every day we're getting more and more signups, which is amazing. And yeah, as I said, everyone's welcome. So we'll be really pleased if you keep sharing and invite people that you know that might be interested in this event. It's never too late to start during the whole week. But let's see who has made it into the Zoom room today. So you should see a Mentimeter link pop up in the chat anytime now. And we're going to just answer a few questions and see the type of people that we've got here. There it is. Twice. Thanks, guys. So please click on that link. It's going to take you to first question, which is, what is your gender? So let's see the results. Females are winning so far, unless they're just quicker at answering questions. No, joking. Cool. I hope everyone's managing to click on the link. Yeah, please let us know if you're struggling to get through Mentimeter. Great. Cool. So still, yeah, majority female, which is interesting, considering the gender gap that we heard from Lisa in the introduction, that actually most Wikipedia editors in the world are male. So this is a good start, addressing the balance. Okay, should we go to the next question? You can still, if you're still busy with the Mentimeter, you can keep answering, and this is all really useful information to us, so please do answer the questions. But we can go to the next one in the meantime. So, which country are you from? We've been amazed, like looking at all of the signups, how big a spread that we've got, which has been really amazing. So let's have a look here who's managed to join us. And yeah, apologies if you have joined at an awkward time of the day. We tried to choose something that would be good across all time zones. Well, not all, but as many time zones as we could manage. So we do appreciate you tuning in at different times. Great, so we're seeing quite a few from South Africa, Nigeria, Lebanon, India, Australia, Ghana, Germany, lots. Switzerland, Nepal, Namibia, Canada, Malawi, Brazil, Turkey, Uruguay, Austria. Amazing. And we'll all get to know each other a bit more on Slack, hopefully, as well. Thanks. So let's go to the next question. So which sector do you work in? Yeah, where are you professionally? I know that a lot of people will be doing this in their personal capacity, but just for us to get a sense of where people are coming from. Okay, quite a lot of academics so far. Got some NGOs, governments, decision makers, a couple of private sector. Yeah, and other. I'm afraid our categories are not that comprehensive, so just put other if you don't identify with one of these groups. Great, so it seems to be at the moment majority academics. Cool, and I think we've got one last question. So I think we can move on to the last one. Which is, have you edited Wikipedia before? What? Yes, lots. Yes, a bit. No, but I'm curious, excited, and no, and I'm skeptical. And it's okay to be skeptical. Okay, so it's mostly new editors who are excited and curious. Great. and a few yeses, which is also helpful. Cool. Okay, thanks so much everyone for answering those questions. And yeah, if you haven't got to it yet, please do answer them. And yeah, it's all very important information for us to know as well. But let's leave it there. So I'm going to share screen again. Okay, so now we've learned a bit more about you. It's time for you to learn a bit more about us, the organizing team. Can I ask the team to just put their videos on and give us a little wave? I don't kind of say your names. So you'll see we've got, so you've met Lisa already from South North. We've got Euphemia Uwandu, who's a Wikipedia mentor based in Nigeria. We've got Tiffany, also from South North. We've got Phoebe, who's a Wikipedia mentor, and she's going to be taking us through some of the editing basics later. We've also got Alex Stinson, who's affiliated with the Wikimedia Foundation, but also edits in his personal capacity on climate change topics. We've got Beth, also from SSN. We've got Elizabeth, who's moderating, the primary moderator of the Slack channel. So you'll have seen her very active on Slack so far. And also an experienced Wikipedia editor. And we've got Joy, who we're going to hear from today as well. Also an experienced Wikipedia editor on climate change topics. So just before we move on, we wanted to take a group photo. I know it's from the novelty of Zoom group photos is probably wearing off a bit by now, but please humor us. Can I hand over to our meeting support, Chev or Karen, to facilitate for us? But I think essentially just please everyone put your cameras on if you can, if your bandwidth is strong enough. You don't need to unmute. We can smile and wave. But can I ask one of my SSN colleagues to just facilitate?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Please put your videos on. And Emma, if you could stop sharing your screen, we'll just get everyone's photos on there, and then we'll do a. Oh, there we go. I can see everyone. Hi, everyone. So big smiles. We're going to have to do 4 different screens. It's so great to see so many people here today. Okay, so big smile. Great, thank you. Screen 2. So everyone just keep smiling. This will be just a few minutes. Okay, and then last one. Great, thanks so much, everyone. Back to you, Emma.
Thanks, Chev. Okay, at this point, I'm actually going to hand back to Lisa, who's going to take us through the overview of the week. So Lisa, do you want to share your screen? And so great to see all your faces, and yeah, put some faces to the names we've been seeing on Slack as well. So thanks for turning the cameras on. Over to you, Lisa. Lisa, you're on mute.
Thanks, hosts. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so we're going to just run through a little bit about what we can expect from the next week. So I'm going to just take you through various different things so we can just get a bit orientated. I know that there's been a lot of information thrown at you and a few emails, so we're going to try and keep it simple and give you a sense of how to get started, really, because I think that's what everyone really wants to know. So we're going to have 3 different mechanisms of communicating with each other, checking in with each other, and managing to work virtually. So firstly, we have, of course, today, the opening Zoom session. Then we will also have a closing Zoom session just to close off the week as well, and also look at how, what we've been able to achieve over the week, and give some prizes and certificates to recognize those people who've really done a great job with their editing. And just to also think about how to go forward and interact with the community going forward, the Wikipedia community. Then in terms of our daily communication, we've got a virtual workroom, which is on Slack. And I hope that everyone has joined Slack. Please make sure you join, because it will be our main mechanism of communicating. And if you aren't on Slack, you will likely miss quite a lot. So please make sure you join. And if you're having trouble joining, just let us know, please. Then in addition to that, we're also going to be having daily check-ins. And these are just really an opportunity for you to meet with other editors face to face, just to interact with people. They're going to be fairly informal. We might organize around certain topics where people are really grappling with something. And we might, we're going to see how things unfold to see where those particular issues might arise. And then just an opportunity to share experiences. And those are every day at 11 o'clock GMT. Languages. So in terms of the language of this editathon is primarily English, and we know that it's incredibly important that we are editing in other languages. We really support this. If you want to edit in another language, our mentors can help you and let you orientate yourself and find out how to do that. We really encourage it. The only one thing to consider is that we will do the language of instruction or communication will be in English, and we will not be able to award prizes and certificates for non-English edits, primarily just because we aren't at this point in time in the position to be able to evaluate what people are doing. Evaluate's not the right word, but have a sense of what you're up to. So apologies from that. Our next editathon will be running in a couple of different languages, I'm sure. But for this one, we're going to start small and we're just going to focus on English Wikipedia. Now, there are a few different tools that you really need to know your way around on. So the first one is we have a project page on Wikipedia. The link's provided over there. I'm wondering if my colleagues can also just provide that link in the chat as well. So the project page, I know it's quite long and dense, but there's quite a lot of important information on that project page. There's information about logistics, there's contacts, you know who the organizers are. We've got details about the prizes and certificates. We've also got some sample tweets you can use this week to really, raise some awareness around the editathon and get people excited. We do really support you doing some advertising and sharing on social media about the editathon. So please do go ahead and use the hashtag Wiki4Climate. We also have a lot about the recommended tasks that we'd like you to focus on, which I'll go through. Some articles to work on. We've done a little bit of mapping and we've looked at what people's interests are. You had to complete that initial sign-up form and you had to indicate what you might be editing. So we've tried to marry that with what's on Wikipedia and suggest some articles. There's also a bit about how to get started and also some links to tutorial videos, which you might find useful, and some information about next steps. The other very, 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 very important thing to do is the dashboard. Please make sure that you sign up to the dashboard. And we'll also provide the link in the chat. It's extremely important because if you don't sign up to the dashboard, we won't be able to know what you've edited or to count your edit as part of the editathon. So in order to participate in the editathon and to be able to track what's being done, we really need you to sign in onto the dashboard. And you have to log in with your Wikipedia account in order to do that. And Elizabeth can also guide you if you're having problems and you can get hold of us on Slack. So please do make sure that you do that as soon as possible, immediately after this webinar. Then the other thing, I've spoken about the Wiki4Climate workspace on Slack and why we need you to be on it. Please try and add a photograph of yourself so we can just see who you are. You don't have to. You can also you can be anonymous. That's also fine. Wikipedia is also about being anonymous if you want to. So, and please do make sure though to include your username behind your profile name so we know who is who, and then we can also put a welcome message on your talk page. So we'll be talking a bit about the talk page. So you should have received a welcome message on your talk page for your specific username. And we can't find you if we don't have your username. And the easiest thing to do is put your username behind your name on Slack. So Slack is, so I'm sure some people will be new to Slack. Maybe some people have actually used Slack for a long time. So we're just going to share a few tips for using Slack. The easiest way to order conversations on Slack is to reply in a thread. So let me just move that, sorry. So you can reply in a thread with that little speech bubble near the message. And this does make it easier to organize comments in a particular, around maybe a particular question or a particular comment. You want to make sure that all the discussions related to that comment are in one place. However, if you want to be notified of any new messages within that thread, you have to select follow the thread. You'll get the hang of it. I know it sounds a bit complicated, but we've been working a bit on Slack over the last week in the run up to the event, and it does become a little bit intuitive. Sorry. Why does that not? Okay. Sorry. Then the other thing that you can also do is you can share a message. So it's a bit like if you use Skype or WhatsApp and you want to highlight a message or quote a message, and then you want to also do a response linked to that comment, you can share it, and then you write your response to that comment above, and it will function pretty much like Skype or WhatsApp, and it will highlight both your comment and the original message, if that's clear. So you can use the share message, just fiddle around with it and see if it works for you. And if you want to highlight something within a thread with the entire channel, you can do that, and you can use the share function as well. And then if you want to really highlight or make sure a specific person is alerted to your message, you can use the @ mention as well. Then to make sure that you please use the right channel for the Slack group. So we have announcement and resources. So that channel is all the announcements related to the editathon and any additional resources that we can provide you with for Wikipedia editing. Then there's another channel around editing comments and questions. And this channel is really for anything related to editing. So any questions, any comments, any doubts, any issues, please use the editing channel. And then if you want to network, get to know other editors, do introductions, please use the intros and networking channel. Then we've also provided you with a Wikipedia start, or Wiki4Climate starter pack with a welcome note, some Slack tips, meet the team. We'll share this presentation in that Google Drive folder as well, and there is the link. So there's quite a lot. I think when you're organizing something virtual like this, you do need quite a lot of resources to help people, but you don't want to overwhelm. So just sort of try and orientate yourself, and I'm sure you'll get the hang of it. Now, how to get started. So what we know that this is the most tricky thing, is like you're keen, you want to be involved, you've got all this information, and now you're like, well, what am I going to do? So we've tried to come up with 5 different ways to get started right after this meeting. So the first thing you can do is you can react to the welcome message on your talk page. So if you have included your username behind your profile name on Slack, you would have probably gotten a welcome message from Elizabeth on your talk page. And now your talk page is really the #1 tool to communicate with other Wikipedians. So it's incredibly important. There's talk pages connected to each article. There's a talk page connected to your username. So really do use the talk page and start to orientate yourself around the talk page, because they are important. So you can start off by doing that. Next, you can also put your name next to one or several articles on the project page. So on the project page, you'll see at the bottom, there's a whole list of articles. And if you're going to be focusing on anything in particular, it would be great to know. And you can just put your username in the column where we've asked you to indicate your preference for editing. However, it is tricky because you have to use source editor or Wikitext. It's not visual editor, so you can't, it's quite difficult to work your way around it. If you're comfortable with source editor, you'll know what I mean when you see it, if you click on edit. If you're comfortable with that, go for it. If you're having troubles with that, it's fine. All you need to do is write on the talk page of your article that you want to work on, your interest for editing that article and what you intend changing. So you can write on the talk page of that article. You can also write in the Slack channel under editing comments what articles you plan to focus on. And then we will add your username to the article on the project page. So we do have a sense of who's working on what. Because once we know who's working on what, then people can start to collaborate. So if there are 4 or 5 of you who are working on the same article, you can get together, you can chat on Slack, you can find another way of, you might organize a sort of quick little Zoom call to talk to each other. We're really leaving it up to you to do that. And then you can give us updates in Slack and the daily check-ins around how you're getting on. So those are the main points for how you can really get started. We've also come up with 6 recommended tasks. So these are things that we think we really need help with to work on enhancing the climate change content on Wikipedia at the moment. And we've worked a lot with the Wiki Project Climate Change, Wikimedia Foundation, volunteer editors to come up with these tasks. So the first one is add reliable citations. Now, this is one, it's a nice thing to get started with, because every statement on Wikipedia needs a source and a reliable source. There is a guide to reliable resources from the Wiki Project Climate Change. And there's also citation hunt, where you can actually go and hunt for specific articles that require sources, and you can hunt for climate change articles in particular. Now, all of this, the guide to reliable sources, the citation hunt for climate articles, is on the project page. So if you go to the project page, you'll see these 6 tasks and all the tools that you need. Then on the second thing you can do is, if you really like to edit and you like improving readability and language, I know that we highlighted at the last Wikipedia editathon, Catherine Vincent in particular said, you don't actually need to add more information sometimes. You can just take stuff away and make it, you can edit it and you can enhance the readability and you can improve the language. So it's not just adding content, it's also just improving the content that is already existing. So you can do two things. You can improve the language, the readability, and the length of leads. So leads are the top paragraph for all the articles. They're like the executive summary or the abstract of the article. And those are what people mostly read. So they read the lead and then they often stop there. So the lead is incredibly important. So if you can improve the lead, you've really done well. And there's a Wikimedia, you can look at the Wikipedia manual of style for more information about how to improve leads. And you can also look at section 4.6 of our guide on how to edit and some video tutorials. So there's lots of resources, and this is all again on the project page under 6 recommended tasks. Then number 3, you can improve language readability of parts of an article or the entire article. There are various readability tools that we've provided you with. We've provided some tips on readability. And again, you can refer to the CDCAN FCFA guide and video tutorials. The one other thing that Wikipedia really lacks are images and figures. And, you know, with climate, figures are all important. I'm going to leave my colleagues to talk about this in more detail. But mostly it's easier to add something from the Wikimedia Commons and not something from scratch. So they can go into the, searching from the Wikimedia Commons. But if you do have a figure that you would like to add, make sure that you own the copyright and can share it as an open source image. Then we also have expanding articles about climate change topics. There are a few articles that are just started, particularly country articles. I'll go through that in more detail. And those articles really need fleshing out. They need expanding. And you'll see them on the project page in the tables. So we really welcome you to please expand these articles. There is a few of them don't have high view rates because they've just started, and there's a bit of a chicken and egg where there might be some articles that are not very high impact because they don't have a lot of views, and you think, well, why am I going to put all this effort into improving an article with low views? But again, if you improve that article, the views will likely increase. So we have provided you with articles with very high view rates and high impact articles. We've also provided you ones where they need substantial work and there's lower page views on those articles. So it's a bit of a balance of focusing on the high impact ones and then the ones that really need development. And then last but not least, we really need to be adding more content about countries and communities and experiences in the global south. So many articles lack that sort of content. So please do look to add, sources and examples and content from the global south in all situations. So this kind of gives you a snapshot of what the main sort of topic clusters we've found. So we looked at what people looked like they were interested in, and the bigger the bubble, the bigger the interest. And we've grouped the articles into those bubbles. So we've got lots of people interested in adaptation and impacts. We've also got a fair amount of people interested in climate and society type articles, so gender, youth, climate justice, vulnerability and poverty issues, Indigenous communities, communication, cities. So we have grouped a lot of things under climate and society, but there's quite a lot of interest in that little bundle. Then we also have agriculture, food and water topics, which do connect with the impacts, we realize. But there are some gaps with the agriculture topics, particularly the country-focused articles. And we've given you some guidance on what really needs to be improved with those ones. And of course, water is always a big issue. We've got country articles. Now, country articles get very high views, and you'll see that in the table. Some of them are locked for editing, which means if you are a new editor and you don't have a few edits behind your name, you can't actually edit those articles. So we have indicated when articles are locked. They have, country articles have very high view rates. So they are potentially very high impact articles if you just add a little bit of information on climate in those country articles. So we do encourage you to do that and look at the list. Then we also have a suite of articles where they are focused, particularly climate change in Pakistan, for example, climate change in Ghana. Those articles, some of them need fleshing out. They need to be, those are the articles that need more expanding. So we also welcome any specialists working in those countries to focus on those as well. Then we have mitigation and energy type topics, and then we have a few people interested in finance type topics, climate finance, etc. So don't worry if your interest doesn't lie in these bubbles. It doesn't mean you have to edit on any of this. You can edit on whatever you like. You can go for it. You can choose an article after this meeting and just get going. We just wanted to try and point you in the right direction and just give you a sense of what's out there so that you know what articles exist and what the potential gaps are. So then there are also certificates and prizes. So we're going to be giving certificates for participants who make at least 10 good edits to English Wikipedia. And a good edit is one that just doesn't get reverted. So you'll find out that sometimes and often, well, I'll leave it also to the Wikipedia's gurus to explain, sometimes edits get reverted. So if your edit doesn't get reverted, and you've made 10 good ones, we are very, very pleased to provide you with a certificate. We're also awarding prizes, 10 prizes of $50 in the value of $50. Sometimes it will be exchanged in local currency in vouchers. And those will be awarded to, particularly 6 of those will be awarded at least to women and Global South participants, just to encourage participation. This is just so to be clear on the criteria for the prizes. We are going to be looking in a combination of the following criteria: the quality of the edit, including the depth of information added, the information related to the Global South, and bonus points will be given for editors who added content related to gender and social inclusion concerns, just because that is a very important agenda at the moment. Okay, I've done a lot of talking. So I'm going to stop sharing. Are there any questions?
Lisa, just to jump in. Thanks so much for that. I see a lot of people have been active on the questions doc, which is brilliant. And thank you to our team.
Emma, I'm going to jump in as well, but your sound sometimes goes out. I don't know if you're over the microphone or...
Yeah, okay, sorry, thank you. So just to say, yeah, please do keep putting the questions into the doc, and then I think in the interest of time, let's not take any verbal ones now. Let's move on. Yeah. So, okay, great. So we're now going to hear from Joy. And just a little bit of background. Joy is a social entrepreneur, a co-founder and director of Quality at Joy Aid Foundation in Ghana. It's an NGO focusing on youth empowerment and inclusion to promote a sustainable future through environmental education and leadership development. She's also executive director of a fact-checking online media organization. And she's going to be assisting this week as a Wikipedia mentor and sharing her journey editing Wikipedia and Wikimedia projects since 2016. Unfortunately, Joy's bandwidth is not strong enough to hear from her directly, but she's been kind enough to record a video. So we're going to watch her video now. So please go ahead, Chef. Thanks.
Hello everybody, so I'm Joy Ajapon from Ghana, and I'm glad to be here joining the team as a Wikipedia mentor. So I'd just like to highlight a few things about myself, just to let you know about my Wikipedia journey, what I do with my various groups, and why I think it's important for you to be an active contributor to the Wiki4Climate exercise. So I'm a female editor and contributor of Wikimedia project for the past 4 years and counting. I will admit that it has been an experience enveloped with diverse opportunities, both tangible and intangible. That's capacity building, networking, project management, inclusiveness, and of people online and offline in the long run. At the end of the day, one becomes a tech guru and a team leader. All these embodies what I have personally benefited throughout these years. Starting out as a volunteer through various capacities such as administrative coordinator, transitioned through to a resource coordinator for 2 years, and then an administrative executive for over 2 years of my tenure. I can gladly boast of adapting to change, increase community contributions across Ghana, that is in about 5 regions, and also I've seen growth in diverse projects with great implementations so far. To touch on a bit about the gender gaps that exist in Africa, I would like to share a few highlights. I'm sure most of you have seen issues or debates of bridging the gap almost everywhere. It's either content is scanty or worse, isn't represented or available at all. Some sources are not often available, or to say not from credible sites, which sometimes limits the efforts of contributors. That notwithstanding, you being here today also paves the way for us to get through to your networks in the media, if you have, to also partake in this exercise and help us by projecting issues and contents that really matter to the growth of every industry online. The gaps are closing, yes, but the pace is very slow. Also, not forgetting women contributors in your various communities are factors that helps to bridge the gap as well. Maybe they aren't aware of this movement at all or not interested, but I would urge each and every one of us here to be the voice among the voices that's already in the ecosystem, to passionately educate and encourage participation in that regard. I would also like to throw a little emphasis on who am I and what drives me as a contributor. So I also double as a co-founder of an environmental and youth-focused NGO. I've been doing this for the past 3 years, where I double as a social entrepreneur and also an executive director of a fact-checking and media organization poised to ensure information from all recipients is accurate and well represented. Well, through enormous researching, diverse community engagement, project management within my field as a Wikipedian and environmental activist, I have come across diverse information online, which needs to urgently break the gaps and ensure proper decolonizing of the internet to ensure or to reach out to everyone without any form of bias. It is for this reason why I want to urge all community contributors, whether existing members of the movement, to channel some energy, if not all, to support the creation of climate change topics to Wikipedia and its Wikimedia project as a strong node which connects all information in one repository for knowledge consumers use globally. I would like to cite an example of my contribution over the years with a project called the Wiki Loves Africa. What it seeks to do is to bridge various gaps on diverse topics. So every year has its theme set aside to ensure information or audio visuals are well represented. Some of the intangible benefits is this is one of the examples I would like to throw more light on. So you realize that there will be some sort of feel-good factor because you are able to contribute to that huge project, and at the end of the day, representation from example Ghana or Africa is well online because audiovisuals of cultures, pictures of cultures, diverse cultures across Africa is in all that repository. So you can imagine if you want to improve upon an article or you have a topic in a particular country in Africa, and you realize that issue you'd want to give meaning to through images or audio visuals is already represented on there. It makes it easy for the consumer to digest whatever has been shared online. So basically, the feel-good factor is the main drive for me because at the end of the day, I know that someday, centuries to come, the next generation is going to benefit from it. So this is what drives me and pushes me to keep doing what I do, irrespective of the various groups that I find myself in. And I really wish that we would all take this mandate and institute it in our various communities. In a nutshell, being part of this project will in turn help us track all happenings around to boost morale of the youth in Africa for Africa. Climate change is real, and it is time for us to use the world's biggest online encyclopedia to serve the world globally. So this is just a little bit about my journey, what I have benefited, tangible, intangible, and why it's important for you to support this community as well and channel all the skills that you have. Like I said, there are projects, diverse projects. There are parts where you can, if you are a researcher or a climate change activist, you have an interest or you have passion in photography, you can do it side by side. You put content in there as well as audio visuals. So feel free to get in touch with any of us. I will be here to support you whenever I can. And thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the session. Cheers from Ghana.
Cool. Thanks so much, Joy. For those inspiring words. So we're going to move on to a little bit more of the nuts and bolts. How do we actually edit Wikipedia? Now I think, everyone hopefully is raring to go. We have Phoebe and Elizabeth who are going to take us through. I'm just going to give a little bit of an intro. So Phoebe Ayers is a science and engineering librarian at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston in the US. She's been editing Wikipedia since 2003 and is the co-author of the book, How Wikipedia Works and How You Can Be a Part of It. I think I want to read that book. And is a former member of the Wikimedia Foundation Board of Trustees. She enjoys introducing new people to Wikipedia and has organized many editathons on various topics. And she's been helping with Wiki Project Climate Change on Wikipedia. And then we've also got Elizabeth, so they're going to be doing a bit of a double act on this. So Elizabeth is a freelancer since 2012, and she's specialized in online community management and knowledge management. And her background is in wastewater treatment, water sanitation and hygiene. and her current interests relate mainly to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, including climate change, number 13, being arguably the most important one for her. And she sees herself as a catalyst to encourage more of her peers to become Wikipedia editors. So over to both of you. Phoebe, I think you're going to kick us off.
Yeah, super. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening. It is morning for me here in Boston. And so we've had lots of introduction about the event, the week, and why you might want to edit Wikipedia. I'm going to talk about how to edit Wikipedia. And we are available, I just want to emphasize, for questions afterwards and throughout the week. Wikipedia is complicated. It's a complex environment and a complicated one. And so questions will arise for you as well as you start this work, and don't hesitate to ask us as we go. I'm going to share my screen and start off just with talking about Wikipedia itself. So the first and foremost, Wikipedia is a community. It's a global group of people who volunteer to work on this encyclopedia. And remembering that it is a community will help you understand why people do the things they do, and also help you, get involved as you go. So Wikipedia is also an encyclopedia. It's a free encyclopedia. It's quite large. It's in over 300 languages. So we've touched on, different languages already just a bit. But there's over 300 language editions. They're all independent. They're not translations of each other. So they're not translations of the English Wikipedia, which is the biggest, or the German Wikipedia or the French Wikipedia. Every language community is developed independently. And there's hundreds of thousands of people who work on Wikipedia. In the English language edition, there's around 40,000 active editors. In other languages, that number might be quite a bit smaller. So one thing to remember is if you're bilingual or trilingual or multilingual, there are many language editions that need a lot of work and need editors and could really use your help. Wikipedia is open to everyone. It's available for anyone to get started in, but there are a lot of guidelines that have grown up over the years and sort of built up and accreted as we've developed the project. So I'll be talking about those. And in the English language Wikipedia, there's just over 6 million articles now, or 6.1, I think, million articles. And the Wiki project Climate Change has tagged about 2,500 of them as being about climate change. But that is a substantial undercount. For one thing, there are many articles, as we've already mentioned, about different geographies, about cities, about various topics that need information about climate change impacts on that topic or on that place added to them. So, so there's a lot to do, is what I'm trying to say here. Like I said, Wikipedia is available in many, many languages. Every single one of these editions is built up by volunteers. And to get started, one of the first things that you'll want to do is create a username. And I know that this went out already in some of the emails and other documentation, but I just wanted to review if you haven't yet. What you will do when you create an account on Wikipedia is you'll go up, you'll go to Wikipedia, and then you'll go to create account up in the right-hand corner of the screen. And you'll choose a username that can be your real name or a pseudonym. Most people use pseudonyms of some kind on Wikipedia. you want to put in a password, and then you want to put in your email address. That's very important because that's the only way that we have to get your password back to you if you lose it. So put in an email address and then register. And then that is the account that you will use on any language edition of Wikipedia, but also Wikimedia Commons, where the photos are stored, and all the other Wikipedia projects as well, Wikimedia projects as well. So create an account and then take a look at an article. And so at this point, I'm going to actually stop presenting and just go directly to Wikipedia. So one thing on Zoom, because we are on Zoom, I will enlarge my screen, but there's also an option at the top of your Zoom window that says view options, and you can change the ratio of what you're seeing. So if this is too small for you to see, you can try making it bigger there as well inside your Zoom window. So what I want to give you, because we do have lots of new editors today, is just a quick tour of like the interface of Wikipedia and how to think about articles as an editor. I know that some of you have edited, and this is going to be a little bit of a repeat for you, but for people who haven't, you have probably read Wikipedia articles in the past, but you might not have thought of them as an editor. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a little tour of the editing interface. Then we're going to make some changes together here and now. And then I'll turn it back to Elizabeth after I go over some of the policies that you'll want to keep in mind when you're making changes. So here is the article about climate change. This is actually quite a long article. It's actually a featured article in the English Wikipedia, which means that it's been reviewed by other Wikipedia editors. And one thing to notice is, like I said, it's quite long. There's a table of contents, and you can see there's many, many sections. And one of the sections that you pay attention to the most as a Wikipedia editor is actually way down here at the end. So you may never even look at this very much as a reader, but as an editor, you want to look at the sources that are cited. So the sources, and underneath this are going to be, well, there's more sources. There's a lot of sources in this article, but there's going to be notes in this article as well. So here are the footnotes in this article. And there's also, and I know this is hard to see on Zoom, I apologize for the scrolling, but there's also this section See Also that links you to other related articles. And you'll notice there's links here to things, the climate change portal. These are pages that we've developed on Wikipedia to try and organize these pages. So as an editor, you'll want to scroll through the entire article and sort of see how it's constructed, look at all the sections, and look at the notes at the end, the references and notes at the end. The other thing that you'll want to pay attention to is up here at the top. So I am currently logged into Wikipedia. So my username is Phoebe. I've been doing this for a long time. So my username is just my first name. But my username is Phoebe. I'm currently logged in. And you can see my information across the top of the screen here. So here is my username. And let me know, by the way, someone on the organization team, if you cannot see this on Zoom. You'll see where my username is linked here. This is a link to in my user page. So everyone who has a Wikipedia account can make a page about themselves. Just as an editor, you might say, I'm interested in climate change, or I live in Nigeria, or something. I have, again, quite a long user page because I've been doing this for a long time. The other thing that I have, though, is this talk page. So you can see it here where it says talk, or you can see it here where it says, you have new messages. So if I click on this, you will see the messages that other people have given me. And I have lots of newsletters and things. But, you know, for instance, here's a message that someone left me about a video that I had added to an article. And this is a place for people to converse about the edits they are making. Okay, let's go back to the article. And I'll come back to the rest of these tabs in a second. So we're looking at the article here. Again, I'm logged in, which means that when we're reading across the top, I'm going to see a few more tabs than you will if you're not logged in. So article is to read the article. The talk page for the article is just what it suggests. It's a place to discuss the content of the article. And so this page has quite a long talk page. In fact, there's such a long talk page, it's been archived. And there's all these messages at the top. When you see a talk page like this, what it tells you is there's a very active community of editors working away on this article. And you might want to add a section on the talk page before you really dive in. You know, you can ask questions here. You could say, you know, I think this is wrong. I want to add another reference, it's etc. Sometimes when I'm going through articles, if I don't know how to fix them, but I feel like there's something that needs to be changed, I will just add a section on the talk page and say, you know, I think that this could be improved. Someone should work on it, because the talk page is a place for people to coordinate who are working on this article. Okay, so reading across, we're back at the article now. Reading across, there's the read tab, that's for reading the article. And then I actually have two edit tabs. We can show you how to set this up. You will probably only have one. But the edit tab is where you change the article. So we'll come back to here. View history is to view the entire page history of the page. So every change that is made gets recorded. And so this is important for a couple of reasons. One, it means that you can always go back to a previous change. You can always, if you make a mistake or something goes wrong, you can always reverse it. It also means that other people can like reverse changes and they could reverse your changes. So again, if something goes wrong, if it doesn't quite match with policy, someone might revert that edit. But the main implication for you is that you can't make a mistake. You cannot break Wikipedia. It is not possible for any of you to break Wikipedia because every change is saved. And so they just stack up like pancakes, right? So you can see the entire version of the article. And so in this article, you can see this last edit was made by Femke, who I think might even be on the call here. And they added a little summary about, you know, the change that they made. There's even a little conversation going on in the edit history of this article. And you can see the date. So these edits were just made just a few days ago. You can see who made them and sort of how much changed. This is a measure of the bytes. So you can dig through a Wikipedia article history and do like a little forensic anthropology here to figure out how an article was constructed over time. You can also, I'm going to click on the oldest here and go back to the very beginning of this page. Oh, again, I know this is hard on Zoom, I'm sorry. So this page was created in 2001. That was only a couple of months after Wikipedia was started as a project. And it was actually a pretty big article back in 2001. This is surprising, but it was nothing like what it is now. No figures, no references, no, you know, sections about global warming in the world. So my point here is that articles evolve over time, right? They change and they evolve over time, and you are contributing to that process. Wikipedia is never finished. Articles are never finished. They continue to grow and improve over time. Okay, so I think there's a question about finding different language versions. I just want to show you that really quickly. So if we go here again to the article page, the current article version, if you scroll down on the left here, you'll see all the different languages that this article exists in. And we can click this 127 more and get the entire list. So again, this list, these article versions, these are not translations necessarily. So let's actually look at the Swahili version. So this is the Swahili Wikipedia. And here's the article about climate change. And you can see it's quite a bit shorter in Swahili than it is in English. There's work to be done here. So if you speak this language, your account will work. You could log in and start to edit. The same is true with all these other languages. You can compare different versions and see, you know, here's the French version, here's the Spanish version, here's the Slovenian version. You could compare different versions and see how they look. So I want to edit an article with you all. And I'm going to move on to this page. My friend Alex Stinson suggested this. So one thing that we are going to suggest to you is that you work on adding information about climate change in particular geographies. So this is the article about Jakarta, the city, and also the area. There's a few things to know about Jakarta. Some of you might be from there. But there's a few things to know about this article about Jakarta. One is that despite Jakarta being at extreme risk from climate change and from flooding, there's no information about that risk in this article. What there is there is a section about the risk of flooding here and the risk of sea level rise. So there's a sentence, additionally, Jakarta is sinking up to 6 inches per year, 17 centimeters per year, which coupled with the rising of sea levels has made the city more prone to flooding. Okay. And then if we scroll down here, so again, I'm looking at these sections. If we go down to geography, there's also this section about how Jakarta is prone to flooding. And also how Jakarta is sinking. There's quite a bit of subsidence. Now, how I approach editing Wikipedia, primarily it's a research project for you. It's a writing and a research project, but you have to get the information from published sources before you add it to Wikipedia. That's super important. So what I do when I look at a topic like this is I do some research. So I search in Google, I search in library databases. I'm a librarian, so this comes naturally to me. I search for news sites. I search for published information because we're not writing from our own experience. We're writing as researchers on Wikipedia. So I have looked for some articles here, and I found several. You know, I found this BBC News article about Jakarta sinking. I found this academic article about climate change and Jakarta and moving the city to Borneo. I found this Jakarta Post article. So this is the English language newspaper, and this you know, says that the environmental agency in Indonesia is saying that the flooding in Jakarta is climate change related. Okay, so this is a pretty good article. And these are the kinds of sources you want to look for. You want to look for academic articles like this, or you want to look for, this is, for instance, an NGO report from, who is this from? One of the UN agencies, I think. So things like this are good sources, right? So I'm going to start with citing this newspaper article. And bear in mind, I don't speak Indonesian. I've never actually even been to Indonesia, but the point is here, I'm doing research into what is published and sort of summarizing it and compiling it. And so you need your source, then we'll go here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this edit link in my section here. And it's going to load the visual editor. And so right now I am editing the article. It's sort of like a Word document. I'll try and make it a bit bigger so you can see. Oh, it's very big. I'm going to have to make it just a hair smaller. So right now I'm editing the Wikipedia article. I can just start typing. And it's like a Word document, right? But I don't want to do this. What I want to do is actually add a sentence. So, and the citation. So I'm going to find the place in here where I want to add a sentence. So let's say I want to add a sentence here. This flooding is related to climate change. We'll just put that in there. Now, if you were doing this, if I was doing this, I would probably try and make a better sentence. You know, I would try and probably make a sentence that was more integrated into the paragraph here. I would do a little copy editing. I would work on the grammar. So another thing that you can do as an editor, even if you don't know the subject, you could read a paragraph like this and say, okay, does this make sense to me as a reader or not? And I'm going to edit it to make more sense, to be more readable, if not. But I'm going to add the sentence. And then I'm going to add a citation. And this is the crucial part here. So I'm going to go up to this cite button. And it's going to offer me a few options. The automatic one, you can just paste in a URL. So I'm going to put in the news URL and see if that works. You could also put in a DOI for an academic article or an ISBN for a book. This seems to have worked. So I'm going to then insert that citation. And the reason I'm doing this, the reason we have to cite articles is you don't know who I am. I don't know who you are. And if I'm reading the Wikipedia article, I don't know who added this particular piece of information. So it's very different from like publishing a scientific article where you're saying, this author has expertise. We're just relying sort of on the sources that are given here. So I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to go up in the corner and hit publish changes. And don't be scared by publish, the word publish. It's the same as save. And you'll want to save a lot. I tend to save after every edit. So if I make a sentence like this, add a citation, then I'll hit save again. I'll hit publish again. What happens is you get a little box like this that's your edit summary, and this is for other editors. This shows up in a bunch of places. This shows up in your page history. So I might just say added sentence about climate change. Let's hit publish changes. And this is going to save now, and it will then show up in the article. And it's live. So if you go to the article now and you read it, it's there. There's no editorial process. No one looks at your edits. It's not vetted by anyone. And in fact, if we go to the page history now, you will see that this last edit that I made, added a sentence, shows up as the most recent edit. So that's editing in a nutshell. That's all you have to do. You go to the page, you click the edit button, and you add a little bit of information or you change something and you hit publish. I want to show you just a couple more things and then we will switch here. So one thing is when you're in this interface, There's many formatting buttons up here that you can use to make things bold or to insert bullet points. You'll mostly be using the citation button and this linking button to add links to other Wikipedia articles. The other thing you can do is you can switch to the source editor. So this is what my other tab is here. You can switch to the source. So if you are a programmer, or you work in LaTeX, or you ever learned how to write HTML, this will be quite familiar to you. This is the code that produces the article that we are looking at. So all of this code that we're looking at right now makes the box on the right-hand side. And then if we scroll down here, you can sort of see how it's formatted. Jakarta, officially the special capital region of Jakarta, is the capital of Indonesia. And if we go back to read the article, you can see that first sentence, Jakarta, the special capital region, is the capital of Indonesia. So you can sort of, if you need to know how the formatting works, you can piece it together a little bit. And we're happy to answer questions as well. Probably one of the biggest issues is figuring out what to do. That's why we've made a list of articles. The other thing you can do is look in the articles themselves. So in this case, there's this other article, Flooding in Jakarta, which I actually have open here. This is a more narrow article. This is only about the floods. But here again, there's no mention of climate change in this entire article, even though Jakarta has been flooding for decades. And you'll see this message, the article's lead section does not summarize the key points of its contents. What this means is this paragraph should summarize the rest of this article. So this is a good task for someone on this call to do. It's relatively easy, and you don't need a lot of specialized knowledge to write a good lead section. So I would encourage you, when you're starting out, don't edit the main climate change article that's actually locked to new editors anyway, but edit, one of these topics about a specific topic or a specific place that you can really get into here. The last thing I want to talk about, and I'll actually go back to my slides for this, there's a few policies that I want you to remember. So Wikipedia, like I said, it's a community. And when we edit Wikipedia, you're sort of doing it under this umbrella of policies. So no one reviews your edits right away, but they might look at them later and say, okay, I don't think this edit matches Wikipedia policies. And so here are the things that you'll want to remember. The first, the biggest, is to cite the information that you use. Always, always, always add your sources. And for climate change, that might look like the IPCC reports. It might look like a newspaper article or a journal article. Another important policy is to always write neutrally. So Wikipedia has this thing we call neutral point of view. What that means is don't overweight minority views, right? So in climate change terms, in the US, of course, as you probably have heard, there's a contingent of people who deny climate change, but they are in the minority, right? And so we can talk about their views on Wikipedia, but we don't overweight them, right? We don't make the entire article about them. It also means that you want to make sure that you're reporting on published research and not the new conclusions that you or someone else is drawing. You want to be aware of conflicts of interest. And I know everybody who's introduced themselves in Slack has really impressive work experiences. And, there's lots of academics here. So many, many knowledgeable people. So what this means, though, is that you can write about your areas of expertise, but don't write about your own organizations, your own universities, your own research necessarily. If you're citing works on a topic that you've worked that you're very close to. You can cite your own work, but also make sure that you're looking at the big picture and citing other people's work as well. Wikipedia is not meant to promote anything. It's not a CV. It's not a place to advertise. And your edits will be reverted. They'll be changed back by other people if it seems too much like advertising. And then lastly, one thing that you'll notice as you go along is that all articles sort of look the same. And that's because there's this extensive manual style. And you don't have to know the ins and outs of this. You just have to know that there is a style that Wikipedia uses, and you can sort of follow other articles. Part of what that means is like a good introductory section that summarizes the article, references at the end, notes at the end. For scientific articles, you don't want to be too technical. You want to be accurate, but not too technical. But you also don't want to be too casual. It's kind of a formal style of writing. And so, again, if you have questions about formatting, about anything as you go along, don't hesitate to ask us, but this is kind of a general thing to keep in mind. And then very lastly, we are a community, so be a good community member. And part of what that means is nobody owns these articles. They're not just because I worked on an article doesn't mean that I have a particular say over it. We use the talk pages to collaborate and to talk about changes. And so the other side of that coin is don't take it personally if somebody does undo your work. It's not about you as an editor. It's sort of about the process of Wikipedia. And do make notes of problems as you go along, because we're continually improving the site and working on it. So I will stop there, and I think let Elizabeth take over. But if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right. Emma, first question, how much time have I got? And also, thank you very much, Phoebe. That was really great. And I'm basically completely overwhelmed myself. So I don't want to know. I mean, I had some things in mind that I can talk about, but I don't know if I should jump into that or perhaps give the others a little breather and maybe ask people to tell me what they want to know, or if they know everything now. What do you think, Emma? What's the, because we're already at 1.5 hours into it now.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. So I see we've had some questions on the doc, and I think, yeah, it has been a lot of information. So maybe, are there burning things that you want to share, Elizabeth? You can go ahead now, and then otherwise we'll just have the next 25 minutes open for people. Also, if people want to verbally ask questions, we can do so then.
Yeah, I mean, what I would do would be, I felt that the information that Phoebe was giving was really amazing. It was quite high level. So I would probably just go back to the very basics and show people how to actually use a talk page. So at this point, anyone who's really experienced, they wouldn't need to listen to me. So I would really just try to help the new people, the ones that have never done it before, to take their first steps. But I also want to be responsive to what people are after. So I see we've got 55 people still in it. Thank you very much. We had at a peak about 80 people. So why don't maybe we give them maybe a few minutes to gather their thoughts and maybe to write in the chat or in the QA thing what would be the best use of the remaining time for them. And I'm also happy to just let some people talk. It might be nice to hear some voices from everyone.
Sure. Yeah, we can definitely do that. And just at this point, maybe because I know people are dropping off now, we're just going to launch a quick Zoom poll. This is just for our M&E purposes to find out if this session was useful to you. So please fill it in. We don't need to look at the results together, but please just answer the poll now. Otherwise, yeah, thanks so much to everyone for staying to the end and for all of your questions on the Google Doc. I think it's worked really well, and we'll keep on answering, so keep adding them there. Sorry, Phoebe, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, I put a link in the chat for the Wiki Project Climate Change, which I meant to show. So that's a page that people can go and look at as well, and get more of an idea around the community around this.
I think one thing, if I still have time, would be to say a few words about the talk page, because I can see that in the Google Doc, people have asked about that. Kurt asked, and I also promised somewhere that I would demonstrate about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to go ahead with that, Elizabeth? And then otherwise people can continue typing their suggestions for the next few minutes in the chat box and in the questions doc.
Yeah. Okay. So I need to share my screen, which is here. Okay. Share. Okay. So I've shared my screen. So what I wanted to do is just to point out a few things on this. Like if you're now really gearing, you want to get started, but you're like, how do I get started? It's just so overwhelming. Then I would recommend that you go to our project page, which is this one. And you can jump here to this section here about help. I've never edited Wikipedia before. And here we explain how to get started. And then this thing here is really very practical steps how to get started. So one is to join the Slack channel, which you've probably already done, and put your Wikipedia username behind your profile name. And now this talk page. So you can see I've made that the third point here on the list. Locate your own Wikipedia talk page. So I'll just show that. Do I have to minimize this? Okay. So in Wikipedia at the top here, this is I'm logged in. So you have to log in to see it like this. My username is emsmile, and this is my talk page. So everyone has a talk page, but it might be empty to start with when you're brand new. So my talk page is not as big as Phoebe's, but I've got some stuff on here. So have a look at your talk page. And if it's completely empty, then that's all right, but it will fill up over time. So what you'll see is very soon you'll get a welcome message. So for example, this here is one of the users, very good guy from Tanzania. See here, he's got a little thing here on his user page, and I encourage everyone to write a little bit about themselves on their user page. But his talk page looks like this. So anyone can see anyone's talk page. And down here, I've left, this is the welcome note that I'm leaving on everyone's talk page. So you'll probably soon see that on your talk page. And this is earlier events. And you can see here that he's actually replied to something. And this is a good practice that I would recommend you do. Just maybe practice replying to someone on your talk page. So how do you do that? You click here on edit source. And I'm just going to put it in and later on delete it again. Actually, it's not. Yeah, so I start with these 2 colons, which is indenting the reply. And then I would put my reply here. And then at the end, I would put these 4 tildes. And everyone gets confused about this thing. But it looks like this, and it's somewhere on your keyboard. And it is used to sign what you've written. So if I click here on publish changes, then what I've written there will appear on that talk page. And you can see that instead of the 4 tildes, it's now got my name and the date there. Okay, but I better undo that quickly because he'll be wondering why somebody did that. So here's the undo button. So if you've ever done something by mistake, it's very easy to find the undo button and undo it. Okay, and so now the other important thing is with these talk pages, you want to be notified by email when somebody has left something on your talk page. This is what I would recommend. To do that, to allow Wikipedia to notify you by email, you have to adjust your preferences. So you click here at the top on preferences, and then there's quite a few quite interesting things here. And I encourage you to have a look what you can adjust here. So that thing about emailing is right at the front here. So it's the tab called user profile, where you've got here this thing called email options, where you can add your email address. And then here you allow that this email address is being used. So it says, for example, I've ticked all of these. Email me when a page or file on my watch list is changed. So these things I recommend ticking, because otherwise you have to log into Wikipedia to see if somebody has messaged you, right? But it's much better to allow this email notification. And then the other thing I recommend to change in your preferences at the very start is this button here where it says editing. You can set it up so that both editor types are visible. So I think the default is still that only one is visible, or maybe they've changed the default. It used to be like that. So make sure you have both editor tabs visible, which means if you want to change an article, for example, you want to edit this one here, climate change in Africa, you can use it. You have these 2 buttons, the visual editor or the source editor. Okay, and maybe just at the end of my little intervention here. So coming back to this project page, have a look at these things here, how to get started, these first steps. And then also if you scroll down further, these are the articles that we recommend that we work on this week. You can, of course, do other things, but this is what we would recommend. We would be very excited if people work on these articles here. And for each of these groupings, so this is the group adaptation and impact articles. We've given here the article, the view rates, the quality rating, and here we can put who wants to work on that. And this could be interesting to find collaborators. So with these tables, you can click on this little arrow here. For example, if you click here, it is sorting the table so that the article with the highest view rates is this one here, climate change, comes on top. So you might decide, I want to focus on articles with high view rates. Or you might decide the opposite, you want to start with the low view rates. And then the same here with the quality rating. You could say, I want to focus on articles that have a low rating, for like C rating or start, that's even lower. And if you want to commit to working on an article, or just to indicate that that's what you plan to do, I mean, nobody will hold you, like, you know, if you don't follow through with your plan, but it's good to make a plan. You would click here on edit source, and then you can add your name here. So if you want to work on this article, effects of climate change, you would click here, edit source. And now this is how it looks in the source editor. This is the table. You can see here, this is my name. So you could just do it in the same way and add your name to the article. Okay, so I think I'll stop here and yeah, let me just go stop share. Hand over to Emma.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, I think that's really useful. Yeah, to take us through all of those. Lisa, I see you want to say something.
I think we just got an important question in the chat about whether people can start little groups on subtopics. And it just relates also to what Elizabeth has said now, that the best strategy for that. So firstly, if you're battling to work with a source editor, I know that for some people that might look a bit overwhelming. You're very welcome to just let us know that you would like to be added to a specific article, and then we'll go and do that. So then you can see who else is interested in that article, and then you can more easily form these little groups. So that's one way, is to look at the table, see who else is keen on that article, and then contact them, and you can work together. But then the other option is, if you are interested, for example, Arno was asking about DRR and doing forming around a subtopic like DRR, you can put that forward to the Slack channel and see if anyone bites. Just bearing in mind, and I just wanted to get Phoebe and Elizabeth's inputs here, is that you would need to then, with DRR, just try and do a little scan of those climate change, those articles that you in the universe of DRR, and just kind of get a sense of what's out there. So do a little bit of a mini mapping. You can do it that way, and find 2 or 3 articles that you really want to target, or you can just go look in the some of the articles listed. For example, I know that there's a very high impact article on natural disasters, but yeah, you can have a look there and see from those tables and do it that way as well. So be more article specific rather than topic specific, because yeah, an article alone can be quite a big topic. Like natural disasters might be quite something to take on. Yes, sorry, that's my. I don't know if if Phoebe and Elizabeth have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's a good idea to, so like if Arno would pick out which article of the ones that we've proposed is closest to what he wants to work on, and then rally around that. Or if we've missed one that you feel like should be included, then also let us know. At the moment, we've got 80 articles. We purposely didn't want to make it too many because then it might be overwhelming for people. Even 80 is quite a lot, but we're still open to discussing that.
And also, we're very happy to match like the interests of the group with what we target, because if we have a DRR expert in the group, well, then it makes sense that we do we target a DRR article. So that's not like a definitive list, because that list was also built on the fact that we looked at all the people signing up, and what we might have, in terms of active editors might look a bit different. So we are in the beginning going to get a sense of who you are, what you're interested in as well, and we can certainly look at adapting that as well.
Definitely. Okay, so for the last few minutes, seeing as we are still a lot of us here, do people want to raise their hands to ask anything, ask any more burning questions, or anything around, like the question we've just been talking about, people joining forces on various topics or articles? Feel free to raise your hand, and then you can speak directly. Yes, Arno, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for this great initial session. Just to inspire people to think out of the box a little bit, and that is to not just address climate change or climate adaptation, but to think about what is it like to suffer from the impacts of it, or maybe even to gain from the impacts of it. And it may have to do with food, it may have to do with water, energy, standard of living, where you live, different things like that. And you'll be able to self-actualize this whole process of climate change. I think that is maybe the element that most people don't think about. They just think, oh, it's greenhouse gases, blah, blah, blah. It's my consumption of products and throwing them away or something like that. But there's so many other factors that will bring this home. And so it's an inspiring thing to ask people as editors to explore that, because that is really what's going on in the user, the reader's mind when they're saying, I got to go to Wikipedia to find out why my tomatoes are not growing well this year, or why my groundwater in the well that I dug is it's not producing, or why there isn't enough water to wash, and it may have COVID impacts. So all of those are interesting sort of offshoots. So that creativity, I think, it should be in there somewhere. Okay.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, for sure. Does anyone else have any inputs? Otherwise, I see also people are being quite active on Slack already. So what I might suggest, if there's nothing, there's Virendra. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, I'm so happy to be part of this Wiki4Climate edit-on. And yeah, I have added one subtopic about in India, about climate change and what we are doing and what we can do for climate action. So yeah, if anyone have some input, then you can add it. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, and please also post on Slack if you haven't already, because I know there'll be quite a lot more people on Slack. Okay, yes, I see another hand. Dr. Nse Abasi Etim, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Okay, thank you so much for organizing this session, because I've learned a lot already. But I have a question to ask, because I started working on an article which is on agriculture in Nigeria. So what I saw that in some of the examples that were used during this session were on climate change. So do I have to work only on articles on climate change, or am I in order?
No, I mean, feel free to edit on anything. We just suggested those articles as a starting point for people who are not sure where to start. But yeah, please edit according to your own interests. I think that's great. And
that's a wonderful topic too. Yeah. I mean, it's super important. And agriculture, many agriculture articles are not very good on Wikipedia. They need a lot of work. So that's great.
Okay, thank you so much.
If you look at the project page, agriculture is a sub-theme. So there are a few agriculture topics there. And I know that there are also some suggestions for going about the agriculture topics. And I know that the agriculture articles in Africa, the Africa-focused agriculture articles need quite a bit of work. So you're on the right track.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great, yeah. And please keep going. Any other questions before we close? Otherwise, I suggest we all head over to Slack and we can chat on there. And as we mentioned, I hope we mentioned this, we'll be doing daily Zoom check-ins. We're calling them coffee chats, so bring your coffee, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, whichever time zone you're in. And we'll have quite an informal session every day for these kind of discussions, and they'll be very interactive. So please do attend those each day. It's going to be at the same time as this one was every day. So it will be really nice to just check in with each other and keep up to date with what everyone's doing and answer any questions that you have or any discussions that, that we want to discuss more in person. Otherwise, for anything else, we'll just be chatting on the Slack group. So I think we can end there. Do any of my fellow organizing team want to say anything, or shall we just say thanks so much to everybody for joining? And we're so excited to officially kick off Wiki4Climate. And it's been really great having so much interaction today, getting a really good feeling about this group, and really looking forward to working with you all over the next week. See you on Slack. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us or send us a message on Slack. We're really here to support you as well. So if you're struggling with anything, please reach out, and we'll be really glad to assist you.